Hmm.
So one of the big problems people today face, and I have a lot of content on about this because I am really passionate about it. We are actually in the midst of an epidemic of people having too much copper, but copper is a little bit like a loaded gun. There's nothing wrong with a loaded gun. You just need to have it pointed in the right direction, right? And you need to be very comfortable that what you're pointing it at could be obliterated, right? You know, so that's a really important concept for people to get, because what's happening in our modern world is that copper is getting unbound and it's working out of control. And when it does that, it creates what we call oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is synonymous with aging when it's present in excess. So if you look at the literature on heart disease, if you look at the literature on dementia, if you look at the literature on every kind of degenerative illness that we're dealing with today, they're linked back to excess copper in the body that's not bound to peptides and proteins. And I give you that long explanation because it's really important for people to not come away from this thinking copper bad. I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Unbound free copper is like a big liability. It can create what I like to call metabolic mayhem. And this peptide, GHKCU, binds copper. What does it do once it's bound copper? It gets to work. And it's one of our primary or most important and most powerful biomolecules or responses to stress, injury, decay. And what it does is essentially runs around the body, turning on the processes of rejuvenation and healing, which is why we get, and this is, I think, one of the things that people, it's tough to wrap your mind around, right? Most of you are used to thinking, I feel nausea, I take this. I feel headache, I take aspirin. I feel knee pain, I take Tylenol. And one of the spooky things about the patches and the things that's kind of tough to wrap your mind around is, well, this seems like it's good for everything. That sounds too good to be true. There must be some kind of catch. What is it actually for? I'm waiting for you to tell me. No, it's really just for joint pain. It's not, okay? Because copper has this effect all over the body. There's copper in your joints. There's copper in your gut. There's copper in your brain. There's copper in your skin. There's copper in your kidneys, liver, heart. It's everywhere, right? Why is it everywhere, by the way? It actually is essential for your body to create energy, right? Which is why if there's one thing that people will tell me about the LifeWave patches that's most consistent, is that their energy is better, right? And so that's what's happening on a molecular level. Now, to be more specific, the peptide will reset genes in your body to a more youthful state. This is one reason why I recently got this question from someone. They asked if this would potentially, because it turns on stem cells, right? And for those of you who don't know, stem cells, cancer comes from stem cells that have gone rogue. And they've asked me, do you think this could create a problem with, reactivating cancers? I have friends who don't want to try it because they're worried about that. Well, we know very, very well from the photobiomodulation literature, the light therapy literature, that exposing people to red and infrared light does not make cancer worse. If anything, it helps these rogue cells and stem cells get back on track and be more what they're supposed to be. Now, we still don't know exactly how well it may be used to treat cancer, but, give them 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years, they'll figure it out. In the meantime, this works really well, and no, it won't upregulate or cause an increased risk of cancer. It only,
yes,
yeah, right. It only causes the body to go back more into this youthful state. And it's, people have probably never heard this before, but there really is an epidemic today of excess copper. It's largely being driven by the fact that there's 270,000 metric tons of copper sulfate being sprayed on our food. And that's something like 60 milligrams for every person in the world per day. And yes, much of that washes off the food, but it also concentrates in the soil. And a lot of this, by the way, if you're on here and you're thinking, well, I don't really need to worry about that, I eat organic. Turns out copper sulfate's used more in the organic industry because it's organic. It's approved organic by the USDA. So we see copper toxicity all the time. The more copper toxic somebody is, the more confident I am that LifeWave is going to help them. And yeah,